Another artifact we saw was that little scrap of flag. You remember that? And they saved it. Why do you think they'd save that little bit of flag, Elle?
To me, the flag kind of identified the regiment, right? So for me, that would be a sense of pride and a sense of remembrance of what I went through. Is that remotely
Well, no, I think you're right. So the flags, they serve a tactical purpose in the battlefield. So July 1863, we're within the ranks of the Iron Brigade. We're fighting. The smoke would just fill the landscape. It'd be very difficult to see. But through that thick, acrid smoke, we might be able to see our battle flag. And so we'd follow the colors. If the colors fell back, we'd follow the flag. It helped us rally as a regiment. It served a really important purpose on the battlefield. But to your point, Elle, I think you're exactly right. For the men that followed that flag through the battles and campaigns of 1862, 1863, 1864, that flag came to represent who they were and what they were fighting for. It might be riddled with shot and shell marks and bullet holes through the fabric. It might be stained with the blood of the color bearers. And so those flags were incredibly important. On the fighting here, July 1st with the Iron Brigade, the flag of the 24th Michigan is literally shredded by the enemy gunfire. But that little scrap of flag, again, that's incredibly important to the men of the regiment. Symbolized, again, who they were, what they were fighting for. And so it's not surprising that they would have saved that fragment.
And it almost symbolizes how much of the regiment was lost, couldn't it? Like you're left with only that little piece. At least that's how I see it. Everyone interprets things differently, which is one of the cool parts about our museum and our battlefield, but that's how I always look at that little piece of it.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's kind of a microcosm for what happened to the regiment. The men of the 24th Michigan left their home state with this big, beautiful national flag, and now all that's left is that little torn scrap.
So are they called the Iron Brigade because they were this fierce group, as you mentioned?
Yeah, in part. I mean, a lot of Union regiments and brigades ended up acquiring nicknames or sobriquets, and it's likely that the Iron Brigade get their name during the Maryland campaign of 1862, and it really is indicative of the fact that they were a hard-fighting regiment. They're a hard-fighting brigade. They're not guys you would want to tangle with on the battlefield. And that's certainly true for the battles and campaigns of 1862 and certainly the Battle of Gettysburg. But by 1864 and 1865, the unit is so shattered by battlefield losses, by those who were taken ill in the campaigns and privations that they faced. They're literally a fragment of what they once were.
Today's a great example of how you can make connections on the battlefield and our museum galleries. We hope you'll visit us soon at either venue, and we'll catch you next week on Museum Monday.